Transit, the TV show on transit that takes place on transit.
This episode of On Transit is the first of a two-part series about December 4th, 2004, the day that the Hiawatha Line was completed.
So what do you think about the train?
It goes pretty fast. Sometimes when it beeps, it's really loud, and people go off and on, and that's all.
It's pretty fun, and now we can just go hop on the train and go to the Mall of America and the airport.
I missed the opening on the 26th. I was out of town on honeymoon, so I'm really excited to be here for the second opening today.
We need to keep this train on time. As we are now less than an hour away from extending the light rail line to the airport, Bloomington, and the Mall of America.
Well, on December 4th, we opened the final 4 miles of the Hiawatha Line, and the really exciting part about that is we were able to do it 3.5 weeks early, and we were able to get people out to the Bloomington Mall and airport in time for holiday travel and holiday shopping.
We've dreamed about this day, and the people of South Minneapolis have dreamed about this day for 40 years, more than 40 years, when the neighborhood said, we don't want a freeway cutting through our neighborhood on Hiawatha Avenue. They managed to stop it, and the neighborhood came up with the plan. They came up with the idea to cut down the size of the road and then build rail transit in the corridor, and we finally managed to do it, and I am thrilled. I couldn't be happier.
I already did volunteer work for Light Rail way back in the IDS Center about 5 years ago already. We were sitting there and all the people were coming up and signing, and a few were grumbling about it, and here it is.
Go ahead, the train's going to leave in a minute.
I think when the airport and the Mall of America now are a part of this system, you're going to see tremendous use, and it's just going to continue to build the momentum for a regional transportation system.
Which includes commuter rail, light rail, and also busways as well. And with the idea that, reduce congestion, move people more efficiently, better for the environment, and actually in the long run cheaper, because they're not building any more land. So we can't keep adding more and more lanes. We have to do something different.
Your attention, please. For your safety and the safety of others, please remain behind the yellow platform edge until the train has arrived and comes to a complete stop.
Today is the grand opening of the south end of the Hiawatha Light Rail line. We're providing free rides all weekend long, not only on the rail operations, but on the bus operations.
There's been a lot of people here coming to ride the trains and enjoying it a lot. And for a lot of people, this is their first experience with the train. And for other people, they're repeat riders, and they're just coming out to enjoy a day, take in the festivities.
All the politicians on the stage were praising it, from federal, state, and local government.
Opening this extension of the Hiawatha Light Rail line 27 days ahead of schedule means that holiday travelers and holiday shoppers can experience the importance of such an asset at a time when the airport, the Mall of America, and retailing in downtown Minneapolis are at their busiest.
I think we're establishing a track record, pardon the pun, that will help us with future transportation projects in Minnesota that needs to move people and move commerce in the most efficient and effective manner possible. This is a great day for Minneapolis, for Bloomington, for all the communities of the metro. It's a good day for the airport, for Northwest Airlines, and the Mall of America. That makes it a good day for all of Minnesota. Let's keep rolling.
And let me tell you about a national reputation this project has already. Again, I am not from Minneapolis, and I have a network across the country, and Earlier, people call me Gizmo. My last name is Gizmondi. I said, Gizmo, I said, what are you doing? I said, well, this weekend I'm going up for the Hiawatha project. I didn't have to say anything more. They immediately jumped and said, oh, that's a project I hear has really done well. It's exceeding ridership. I'm talking about, it's out there already. You have a national reputation.
I'm going to stick to my 3 minutes and urge everybody else to continue to do so, because as soon as we cut the ribbon, I have my boarding pass, I have a 1 o'clock flight, and I'm taking the train to the airport.
There's 1.7 miles of tunnels underneath the airport. They're 70 feet below ground. To do this and not disrupt 1 day of operations at the airport was a phenomenal task.
Of course, the tunnels under the airport were one of the most challenging projects ever undertaken in the state of Minnesota. Twin tunnels, both 1.8 miles long. That type of construction has never been done here, and it happened concurrent with our rail crews working through there.
This station is built, it's really a 600-foot station vault that was excavated from the existing sandstone. And the whole theme of this station is kind of the evolution of flight. So you'll see the dragonfly wing and the flooring of the platform here, and then the cutouts of the air wings in the ceiling.
Oh, I think it's wonderful, that limestone look down there and all the signage and the color. I love the colors of the trains. I think it's a great setting.
It's going to be incredibly convenient to get on the train and come out here, and I think will be just very, very positive for the success of this airport and success of the region overall. I think this is a huge step in the right direction.
They're a great benefit to travelers today. Airports don't only serve airplanes. Their job is to make it convenient for people to get onto those planes. And today, that task becomes much more convenient.
We think that for out-of-town visitors, as well as people who live in the metro area, using rail to get to the airport and be a convenient connection, that's going to be a big enhancement.
You have to understand, from where we are, we're less than 6 minutes from the airport by light rail. Less than 1/2 hour out of the center of Minneapolis by light rail. And these travel times will be consistent and they will be steady no matter what the traffic conditions are, no matter what the weather conditions may be. It's a great day for public transportation, and Bloomington is delighted to be the center of attention.
We're one of the few light rail lines in the country that actually has attractions at both ends. Many lines run from the suburbs into the city, and there's very little reason for people to go back out during the day. So we expect to see a lot of traffic on this line.
Well, now it's great because for myself, I live in northeast Minneapolis. So I've got a destination now, the two that I use quite a bit. This January I'm going on vacation, so I'll be riding light rail to the airport. And then also Christmas shopping, I'll be riding out to Mall of America. It really opens it up for me because now if I want to just go out there to see a movie or go to dinner or something, I can do that very easily, get back downtown and get home and not have to use my car.
For me, the high point is where we're standing right now, the realignment of the system into this Mall of America ramp at this transit facility. Far and away better than the original design.
One of the exciting stories about the Bloomington leg is we were able to realign the track well into construction actually, where we moved the location of a couple stations actually into the Mall of America. The previous design would have dropped customers off across 24th Avenue. Now that left something to be desired from a security perspective, from a customer perspective, as far as facilitating connection from bus to rail. So because this is a design-build project, and because Bloomington and the Mall of America were so willing to, very late in the game, look at changing this, we were able to approach the federal government and ask them for additional funding to make that change at no additional cost to the state.
When Mall of America opened, we spent a little over $3 million on a transit station that was intended one day to accommodate a future LRT interface. And today that future has arrived. The fact that it's arrived wasn't certain all the time, as many of you remember. And the fact that it has arrived today is made possible by the labors, by the championing, by the heroism, really, of thousands of people, some of whom have been mentioned today, many of whom are standing behind me here today, but many of whom probably will never be mentioned.
It's a really convenient place. You get out underneath where the old buses used to turn around and go out, take the escalator right upstairs.
The Mall of America is a worldwide known organization, location, and it's good to have the trains getting there.
The real focus is at the Mall of America Transit Center, where we now have rail service, and we restructured 13 of our bus routes to feed into the rail and Mall of America.
Brought on 4 years ago as the project director for the entire project, and that meant coordinating the design and construction efforts, not just on the surface running from Minneapolis to the Mall of America, but also coordinating with the Metropolitan Airport Commission and the construction of the tunnel in Lindbergh Station. There's a number of key elements that go into a project like this.
People that have been involved in drawing up plans, people that are involved in laying track, people involved in putting in utilities, people involved in keeping the files, people, receptionists, communicators, and yes, even lawyers have been involved in this process.
It's just a massive effort involving literally hundreds of people for the past 4 years. I liken myself to the orchestra leader. I don't play a specific instrument. I just try to keep it all somewhat in harmony.
It was preached to us from day one. Keep this project on time and keep it within budget. And that was a mantra that we repeated on a daily basis. In fact, to help me with that, I have in my hand a pocket watch. So with this watch, we are now closing out a project and implementing a system. And I would like to give this to Joe Marie for rail operations to help him keep the trains on time.
Oh, beautiful. Got it, right on.
It really is just sunk in that the design and construction's over, and we've handed it off. It's almost bittersweet. The other overwhelming thought is how much people seem to like it. That says it all.
It provides you new opportunities for thinking about ways that you want to travel both to your work destinations, but also to, shopping and all those other kinds of things that transit can be an alternative.
I'm really happy about the opening of the light rail. I'm somebody that actually lived without a car for over 4 years, and I've also lived in other cities like Washington, D.C. and so forth that actually have a well-developed mass transit system. So it's great to see Minneapolis arrive on the map to having a modern system, and it's a big step forward for us for decreasing congestion and moving people around in a more environmentally sound way.
What's really nice about this train is, I call it a train. I guess it's a light rail train, but
yeah, it's a train.
It's really nice. Mm-hmm. And all the people who are coming in these rides here on opening day, and the people are really enthusiastic with the system.
I think that it's a great place to start connecting easily the downtown to a core area down on Lake Street with the VA, Mall of America, and so forth. And I think that what we're going to see is increased development along there, which will benefit the neighborhoods, and we're going to see a lot of people riding it to get downtown. Mall of America will benefit, I think, with more traffic here. So I think it's really going to win for everybody.
Yeah, I've just ridden 2 trains on the way down, and each one of them was full of people, very excited about this. We were actually running crunch loads on the way down. We couldn't get more people on the trains. So it seems like it's being accepted very well.
Oh, I think it's very exciting. The fact that the ridership numbers were exceeded before this leg opened is a really good sign for the future.
We are volunteering here. We're talking to anybody that wants to talk to us about transit, and we're signing up volunteers for Transit for Livable Communities.
I went to the opening of the main line in the summer when it opened from downtown to Fort Snelling, and I wrote it then, and I signed up for the email information list from the group, and I got the emails, and they asked if I wanted to volunteer at this, and I said yes. I think that light rail would be a terrific boon to the community. Environmentally, it would make a lot more sense transit-wise.
We believe in transit, and even though we live in the burbs, we try to ride the bus as much as we can, and really believe in the LRT and what the possibilities are for walking and pedestrian kinds of things and biking, and that to me is all connected.
Well, I think it just makes it more accessible for everybody, and it's also convenient.
Many of the Metro Transit staff in our safety vests here are really station ambassadors, helping passengers who are new to Hiawatha Light Rail. And here at Lindbergh, there may be passengers at this LRT station who've never been to Minneapolis before and don't know which way they're headed to the mall or downtown Minneapolis. So we're here to help people answer questions and really welcome them to the new Hiawatha Light Rail.
We just kind of get out and work with the general public and help them get comfortable with the system and learn how to use the transit and help keep them safe.
I think it's been a great success when you look at the crowds here. It's all the trains have been packed, and they've done an excellent job with getting people, moving the masses onto the trains, and the waits have not been very long at all. So I think kudos to mass transit, or to Metro Transit.
We're volunteering here on the opening of the south end of the light rail, as we did for the opening of the original opening of the light rail, and we just help with crowd control and enjoy the day.
I've been riding the cars and trying to help people on and off, and primarily make sure that they knew where they were going and tell them show them the sequence of stations and things like that.
Well, I think it's very convenient. It's nice. I just wanted to ride the train. I'm here from Memphis, so actually I'm touring.
Oh, we're just very excited to be out here with our boys. Yeah, they're just thrilled to have a train, nearby.
I support transit because it's been my major means of transportation all of my life. I grew up in New York, and by the time I was 10, my 8-year-old brother and I had traveled on all 456 route miles of subways and elevateds in New York City. And so then, after that, we were into the 40s and 50s. The electric interurbans were becoming a dying breed, and we went and rode electric intercity trolleys every place we could. And ever since then, I've been a transit advocate, trying to do everything I can to make the bus system and the rail systems better. And in addition, I enjoy it as a hobby, running streetcars and dealing with the people, and just generally bringing people a chance to observe the history of public transportation.
I just talked to a gentleman who remembers when he rode the streetcar, and that was cool because my husband remembers that. And he was talking about his family coming from North Carolina and how he always takes them on the Lake Harriet little streetcar.
My mother and I used to be able to take, speaking of transit, we used to be able to take the Great Northern Railway from Maple Plain into Minneapolis, so the downtown terminal down here, for 75 cents a piece, round trip. It made a couple stops in Wayzata and Oak Knoll and maybe St. Louis Park or something on the way in, but that was pretty reasonable. And from there we would walk across the street and take the old streetcars uptown to the Hennepin and 8th where Dayton's were, and the old Nankin restaurant and a few other places in town here.
Queen City Rapid Transit was a private company, investor, and anyway, it wasn't very long. They had a scandal in management, and it went bankrupt. The line did, and then the state or the city came in and took over, you know. But anyway, they took the streetcars and they sold them. Half of them went to Mexico City, and the others went to Boston or something. And they were only about 5 years old, and they were really quiet, just like these are. The wheels were non-noisy, you know. And it was a nice thing, and the time had come not to get rid of the streetcars. The plan was to make more of those modern streetcars that they had in that short time. And instead of that, the bankruptcy, they had to sell everything off.
I used to play with streetcars on the floor of the attic in my house in Milwaukee. My grandfather was a streetcar conductor in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, and all the uncles were too. So I suppose it's in the blood in a way.
It's very convenient. I think it's very convenient. I grew up in Philadelphia, so I'm familiar with mass transit and light rail, and it's really nice to have something like this in the Twin Cities.
First of all, it's quiet and it's very attractive. It moves swiftly enough for me. I like riding with the people on it. I just think it's a real community kind of thing. You get to talk to people you normally wouldn't.
I support it because it's easy. It's a lot easier for me to get on a train, get on a bus and get on a train than it is to have to drive downtown. It's less expensive because I don't have to deal with parking or upkeep of the vehicle.
Do you think you'll be using it a lot? Oh yeah, of course. It's more convenient for us, yeah. So what kind of trips will you be using it for? Shopping, work, etc. You know, all the above, everything.
So that's what we're here today, to share how important transit alternatives are, that we should have more than a couple of ways to travel, more than just an airplane and a car.
Obviously it eases congestion, you know, it takes some cars off the road because more people are riding trains or buses or the like, and they don't always have to be in their cars all the time. And that, in addition to decreasing congestion, also aids environmentally to the area, you know, reducing smog and pollution. You don't have to keep adding more lanes of highway, you can just keep updating the light rail.
The steel wheel on the steel rail is the cheapest way of moving bulk commodities. If you get enough people together, you've got a bulk commodity, and it's the easiest way of moving people around.
First of all, it's reliable, and because it requires a dedicated right-of-way, and nobody's going to just throw a switch and turn it off tomorrow. Unlike bus transportation, which can be cut off overnight by just not running the buses, when people have the public investment in rail transportation, they're not going to think as quickly or seriously about abandoning the service, especially having learned their lesson once.
I think it's much faster, and it's hitting a lot of the major stops that would be convenient, I think, for most commuters.
I would like to encourage people to come out and experience it. It's a wonderful ride, and I think that the more support we have, the more we will be able to expand into other areas, and I think that would be great for the whole community around here.
I may feel strongly about transit, but it's nice to have a group that I can connect with so that I can help my voice be heard. And if we don't have a connecting group like this, then you're just individuals out there. That's what's really exciting today, is to be a part of this whole movement.
I think it's actually well on its way because all the ridership is above what people projected. And I think that's great because I think the legislature will see that a lot of people support this, the need for alternative transportation.
Everybody's heard the great stories about ridership. we're having almost twice as many people ride our train as we predicted, which is a wonderful problem to have. You can always add more trains, and to have too many people riding or have a very excited customer base, that's a very good thing.
Well, we certainly hope that it emphasizes the case that transit really is an important element in the transportation system to many of the people who live in this region. And this just kind of drives home the point that people will ride good transit when they have the opportunity to do so.
There's tremendous support for transit throughout this area at the local level, and I think we can play a leadership role in continuing to build these coalitions along with the leaders of Hennepin County and Ramsey County and other officials throughout the metropolitan area.
If you look back in history, they called it Clinton's Big Ditch. That's what they called the Erie Canal. And when the Transcontinental Railroad was viewed as a boondoggle. These things always have their critics. They always have people who can kind of make up stories, and that's what they've been doing about the Hiawatha Line and rail until it's open. They were sort of making up stories about it, about why it wouldn't work and how people wouldn't react positively to it, and how it'd be a loser. The fact is, you've got to get over those bumps in the road. You've got to stay optimistic, have a vision, and then keep fighting for that vision. Keep moving forward with enthusiasm and optimism. That's what this has been about, and we're doing that. We're creating a system here.
Construction folks are an interesting lot. They really live for the day when you can step back and say, look what we did. Nobody else has done anything like this, and there will never be another project just like this. And that's something my kids can point out to their friends in the future. My dad built that system, and that's very cool. That's a nice legacy to leave for my kids and others in the future.
And now what we need from St. Paul, from the state government, is a dedicated source of funds for transit so that we can plan these lines and invest in them year after year so that we can in fact build the system that we need in this region to keep us strong.
My hope is we can keep the momentum going and North Star Central Corridor follows.
No, it's been a good day, and I'm kind of worn out, but I'm glad I did it.
Just a hood dream, but for one full week, we can live like kings and queens. Before the door, like a dope, loaded in a stick 94. Let's speak about life, getting